the question is Jokic's legacy in trouble? We're gonna get into that. Um, we're gonna get to it in just a second. Just coming to you live real quick. I'm gonna get everything streamed up nicely. It's a real simple question about Jokic because it's gonna be interesting if his legacy takes a hit for this. We're gonna be on here. We're gonna see what's up. We're gonna see what we got real quick. We're gonna be on here doing this sort of thing. Gonna talk about in just a little bit. Just send out the film. We're just talking about it. See what we doing real quick. Yeah, so I just been for a couple minutes, just coming on live talking about it. That was a bad beatdown. SGA proved that he was MVP. Better team won the whole nine last night. So it was pretty much straight. What's up? How you doing? Dynamic duo. How you doing? Thank you for coming through. Thank you for coming through. Just coming in on live. I had to send out these fillers because when I'm on live, it doesn't always go out. So just coming on live now. We're getting started early. Gotta get my little drop. So looking forward to conversation today. Yeah, they got spanked last night. It's so much for Game 7. So much for Game 7. So much for Game 7. There's gonna be other things I'm gonna be talking about, but we're gonna get into it though. We're gonna definitely get into it. Okay. Question is Joker's legacy on the line? Mm-hmm. I think it takes a dip. Um, he has to win more, because basically, he's won a regular season finals and did everything, but it feels like it's incomplete. And he has to be more demanding of getting more of his teammates. So I think it took a hit. 2 straight years you get knocked out in the second round, Game 7, you can't finish. Something got to give. be curious as what they do in the off season. They just can't seem to get the job done. And sooner or later, he's not going to be able to just run roughshod. So it's going to be very telling. Mm-hmm. What's happening? How you doing? How's your day going? Thank you for coming through today. Just starting out here early today. But I feeling pretty good today to see what's up. Well, they lost 2 straight years in the second round. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. didn't do nothing. The bench isn't that good. They fired their coach. I don't know how you're gonna be fine when you're getting knocked out in the second round and you went and won the chip 2 years ago. I think they're in trouble. I think they're gonna have to make some changes. What's happening? Fine is when you know, what's going on. Tell me why you're sad. I think OKC is fine because they got better with each year. What you mean you can't hear me? I got my volume up. What's going on? Biscuits and gravy came back again. A lot of good competition. You know what? The Pacers are the deepest offense I've seen. I know OKC's got the reputation as the deepest team, but that Pacers team, there's something about the way they score. Appreciate you being a Knicks fan. I think the Pacers are special. Yeah, Rick Carlisle. No one saw it. That's gonna be a real interesting series. Real interesting. Could go either way. Could go a lot of different ways. Very interesting. I think the Pacers are one of the best teams I've seen. Mm-hmm. I agree. I know beating Milwaukee, you kind of think, well, that don't count. Even though Giannis is one of the greatest players ever, you just know they too soft to win. And with Doc Rizzo, you think that's a L. But the way they handle Cleveland, though, and not afraid. score. So if they play a lick of defense, they're problematic for teams. I think the Pacers are probably the most dangerous team left. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Hopefully, I'll hear from you again soon. Appreciate you. Biscuits and gravy. Thank you. But the players have been interesting. I can't recall a time when four teams were picked to represent the finals and three of them got knocked out. This is the most craziest year I've seen in that regard. Golden State. Some people thought if Curry plays, he got hurt, so that was it. Some people thought Denver with Jokic because now they were making moves. That was it. And some people thought Boston. So this was the craziest year I've seen in recent memory. I do think Jokic is definitely affected because I think that looking at it, he needed to make a statement. It's set up for him to dominate. It's set up for him to. You don't do it, you know what they say: use it or you lose it. And I think that's problematic with that. So we're gonna, we'll see. Anyway, we're gonna see how people come on through here today. I'll be on for a little while. If I get any buzz, I'll stay on for that full hour. If not, I'll cut it in half. Still early on here, so I know some people are, it's Monday. Monday hangover. Maybe Monday, doing a lot of different things. I know next weekend is the big holiday weekend, so we'll definitely, we'll see how things will go. People are into different things right now. There's a lot going on. So take all that into consideration. Take all that into consideration. Not a moment too soon and not a day too fast. So we're sticking around, see what's going on. I never know how it's going to be. So we're just taking into it. But yeah, it's once OKC got going, they just ran them off the court. Alex Caruso was big, big hustling points. Defense was sharp. You know, I think the biggest thing that when I look at OKC, they're a young green team, but they're the kind of team they can put pressure on you. They can definitely do something. So it's definitely going to be a handful to have to deal with. So we'll see what goes on. Like I said, I'll be on for probably about 30 minutes more, something like that. We'll see. We'll see what kind of buzz I get. I know sometimes it takes people a minute to get in here. I am getting a lot of action from the poll. 80% saying no. Joker's got his followers. He got his followers. He's definitely got his base. So we shall see. People that worship at the statue of him. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. You do kind of gotta wonder though. His legacy takes a bit of a hit because They want to put him with Shaq, Wilt, Kareem, and Russell. Bad. They want to tell you that he belongs in there. He hasn't passed Akeem Olajuwon and Moses Malone yet. I let him sit at the table with them, but he hasn't surpassed them yet. So, just saying, putting everything in perspective, though. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we just sitting here waiting. Still early in the day. Still very early in the day. Yes, they had quiet a bit. People come through. It was almost like one of those days you didn't want it to end. Live stream was off the chain, so it's always different from day to day. We were going into Game 7 last night, so it all depends on how you look at it. All depends. You know, you look at it in perspective, like you're thinking, like, okay, this was gonna be something, and it turned out to be much ado about nothing. It was just as anticlimactic as the Boston Knicks game. That's the only time home court advantage came in. It's been a strange playoff season. Home court hasn't really meant much of nothing this year. I can't recall another time when it was like that. So, been a strange year. Now we get to the final four. But I do think if Jokic doesn't win, if this was it, it's gonna be. It's hard for people who grew up watching it for him to be next to the next level because this is where he's supposed to thrive and be dominant. So just not a good look. Anyway, we're live here. We hope everybody's having a good day. Today is May the 19th. There's a lot of different topics I could have gone with. The day would have marked the 100th year birthday of Malcolm X. Didn't touch on that. Could have gone on there. We get people that have a different discussions. We can. So again, hope everybody's doing good today. But I thought I'd talk about this NBA playoffs here. Since Denver made the last stride where they got rid of the coach and all that, so we'll see what that means going forward. I do believe they can be a 50 game win season team. I do believe he can average a triple double for the regular season. I do believe that he can put up numbers. Can he win though? That's the question. Can he ever get them back to the finals? Can he win? You know, and if they don't get the help that they need on the perimeter for consistency, and they don't get no bench, he might be a 1 year wonder. And if we were playing the open market right now, Out of him and Giannis, who would you build your franchise around? Hmm. So it's a lot at stake. A lot at stake. So we shall see. I think it's gonna be tough. I do. I think it's gonna be tough though. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's gonna be easy. You gotta wonder. Houston's gonna come up. OKC's solid. They're good for the next 5, 6 years probably. Houston's gonna come up. I'm looking at the West. Memphis needs to move, but they shouldn't fall off too bad. I don't know. Minnesota's gonna be there. So you about you got 4 or 5 young teams. That's gonna be interesting. It'll be very interesting how that'll play out. Okay, so we just again we're here today. See how everything goes. Pretty laid back. Mm-hmm. Stay here for a while. Let's see if everyone's coming in for conversation. Mm-hmm. Pretty laid back day so far. So take a chill for a minute. Mm-hmm. Let's see what we're working with. Some days be more than others. What's up? Thank you for coming on because I was getting ready to just almost pack it in. I was gonna like, but now if you stay on for at least 35 more minutes, I'll stay on for the hour. Thank you. And I do think his legacy is taking a hit. I definitely think his legacy taking a hit. He getting war. Well, see, And I heard Aaron Gordon with that comical talk about we need more rest. I'm like, and I was, the thing is if it wasn't for Aaron Gordon, they wouldn't even been in that situation. And he was the second most important player they had in this playoffs. Because he's the reason why they got he won them the game and the two he helped them with two games in this series. Without him, they're roasted. So I don't know what he talking about. Yeah, Caruso, that was a smart pickup. He's not as may not be as athletic as Austin Reeves or move like Connect, but he's the right kind of player that LeBron don't have. If he had a championship squad around him, Caruso would be the one you want as your finisher. Because he does. Caruso gonna be a coach. Watch, he gonna be like the next Scott Style. I'm not Denver's head coach. You need to go ask that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like the way they run the offense. No way. I think you know, that Tweeler, whatever his name is, he didn't. What you mean he was off? He's always off. Him and Ben Simmons been separated. You know they long lost kinfolk. I mean, he always off. He was the dude that I said 2 years ago when they won. If he goes off, because I looked at him like a Clay Thompson type. I haven't done a video about it, but what he didn't say it this time. I didn't touch it because the Slurpers were on last night talking about she's the LeBron James of WNBA because she had triple double, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to touch that. I thought that was just some old fashioned, you know, the way they played. They can need to mirror all that. I do know that every time Caitlin Clark looks good against Angel Reese, medium is in maximum overdrive. I know that. But they got to be in their bond. Well, he's trying to get back in with the master because, he fell off. I didn't because when he said that, I was looking at his media game. I wasn't looking at his NFL game. It was his media game. And he was dry, corny, you know, because Mike Shanahan basically decimated his career. I liked him in college. I liked him in Baylor. I remember when he ran up and down the field. I liked him. Athletic, and he should have been with Russell and with Cap. He should have been right there, and pre Cam and you know precursor to what Mahomes and Lamar was doing. But he did come off corny. He came off like he was bought and paid for, robotic. So when they stick a blazer on him and a mic in his mouth, that's kind of what you get. Carlton Banks in it up. Rob Parker said that we cracked up, or buddy man, we cracked up, but he ain't told no lies though. He was corny. No, when someone makes a remark like that, especially black on black, they not that's not a track. They reserve that for when you just play yourself like you're a cornball, and he was. We knew he was a cornball. What about him? I like Aja Wilson. Yeah, I told you that already. Live stream. Ain't no debate. Not now. Yeah, that's because they know she's the real deal. That's why. I'm not saying Angel Reese can't get better, but Angel Reese got to be a better scorer. She's got to get more assists. She can play, but she's got to actually let her hair down and not just get through the motion. Aja Wilson don't be going through the motion. She will bust you and embarrass you. That's why they got to go after her. Because Aja Wilson is bad. Be careful what you go after, even if you don't get your feelings hurt. Shoot. Oh, I know that. Adam Silver doesn't do nothing at the NBA, so why are you surprised? I tell y'all, nothing ain't nothing but a slave auction show. You know who predominantly be at these games, so what you expect? They can't even talk about the past if they don't insert the present. You know, and Angel won't do herself no favors by being in situations where she tries to. She just needs to beat them with intellect and kindness. That's all. Um, it's a good battle. It's a matter who can will themselves. SGA is an interesting matchup for Ant because they're peers. See, Ant had the luxury of taking out cats that's been around. He took Jokic out, Jimmy Butler out. Steph was hurt, but took him and Draymond out. Booker, of course, Kevin Durant. This is a guy that's his peer. So this is gonna be interesting because like whoever gets this one, I'd love to see. I'd like to tell you with a straight face that these two teams should battle for the Western Conference Finals for the next 4 or 5 years. I really want to because if we're being honest, right, we're putting feelings aside, we're putting nostalgia aside. We know that LeBron, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry ain't coming back to this mix. Okay, they'll stat pad and have some good runs. This is where it's at. This should be your Western Conference Finals for the next 4 or 5 years. Just like when Aaron Gordon and Zach Levine battled for them slam dunk contests, which you didn't care about. But this should be your Western Conference battle for the next 2 or 3 years, maybe four. Because Ant and SGA are where it's at. All due respect to Jokic, but what they got, what you see, this is what you want to see. I know it ain't sexy and happening because they're not the marquee names and teams, but this is where it's at. So this is how I look at it. Hmm. This is where it's at because the West is longing for that. They yeah, but to who? And don't trade him for Trey Young. Please don't do nothing stupid. But Murray, if he's healthy, and that's the problem with him. Because if you trade him to Houston, you get some of them young cats. That gets you back quick. Because those cats in Houston go there with Jokic, they'll be back in the finals. All he need is cats who can move and make baskets. He don't need nobody to be, you know, they willing to run. They got outran against OKC. They got ran out. That's why Jokic was tired. Couldn't keep up with them wheels. And since Denver don't play no defense, and Houston does play defense, get some of them Houston boys, I might consider that trade. Mm, Murray from Murray, again, and you got to think about how you size everything up. So you got to try to get Michael Porter Jr. out of there too. So I tell you, they got a lot to think about. Are they gonna bring back Russell? Um, the interesting thing about this series is that if Rick Carlisle, both these coaches got legacies at stake. Because Tibbs is the guy that his method, his science, if he wins, he'd be look like you know he finally did something. And if I was him, if I won it all with the Knicks, I'd always consider retiring because you ain't gonna get no better than that. You caught way too many breaks. You caught breaks in that Pistons series. That shit game should have gone seven. You got very fortunate with that. You definitely had the Ravs foot against the Celtics. So if you were to go and run the table, I'd say retire. The keys for the Knicks and the Pacers is gonna be the bench. It's how the seconds and the others do. They gotta get second chance rebound. They gotta get second chance hustle plays. They cannot let the Pacers hustle them, stay in the game, and then do what they do. Pacers tend to wear you down. They already do. What made you ask me that question? It's funny you asked that question because I was doing something before I came online. I was reading about Frank Sinatra and they talk about how the guy was saying he was tied in. Oh yeah. What do you think streaming is? And I'm not saying it to be condescending to you or rude or anything, but what you think the stream hustle is? They got legalized gambling. Chris Rock does those ads. Kevin Garnett's in on it. All that. They legalized gambling. NFL, baseball, basketball. Okay. Oh, okay. I see where you're coming from now. Okay. Okay. Look at you watching Michael Franchese. Yeah. Guido. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, they do. Because now you can't pinpoint nothing. They busted some dude in Italy last year. Old dude. He was in the old folks' home. Old mobster. They still pulling them out. Cats are behind so many different types of but now with the streams you can't even because streaming is such a hustle. It's the worst thing to happen to the entertainment industry. It's such a hustle. Artists don't even get paid the half of the half no more. That's why they got them buying all their catalogs up. That's why what's that wave stream got all these catalogs. They bought Bieber's up. They be on it now. They give you $200 or $300 million because they're gonna turn around and make 2 billion. It's heavy business, y'all. Yes, they're still alive. They just can't do the opening stuff that they used to do. But the close stuff too gets done. Wow. Al Sharpton, who snitched on him, remember? I remember that black dude when John got had to go to court. He couldn't wait to go greet him at his car. He was all happy. hmm Herschel Walker. I mean, yeah. People don't think about it. They'll sit there and act like it. Well, he gave the Republican Party took that money, and see, he was with the New Jersey General USFL. You gotta remember this political tie-ins. Athletes are bought and paid on it. You heard what Michael Franchese said about Michael Jordan. Why do you think Herschel would be exempt from it? Why do you think any players would be exempt from it? These athletes are some of the biggest bucks that you got. You do know they have outwardly black aesthetic with what they do, but inwardly, the Oreo cookies, yo, a lot of them. And I'm not talking about because they married the white women or who they date. I'm talking about how they carry their business. They don't identify. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Because we never really talked about this before. I'm talking about how they got right in corporate world. You see Tiger Woods how unorthodox he is when he was at there with Trump was talking about Black History Month. He says my black man here, happy Black History Month, Tiger Woods. And he's like he was terrified. These athletes, I'm tell you, they bought and paid for, and it is script, and they things get put out there to look like they do certain things. But I'm telling you, yeah, told that why I watch these shows. I was on. I've been watching Francesi for a minute, for a good minute. Well, I used to follow the mob. I lived on the East Coast, and they were running game with everything you could imagine. So I pretty much grew up on it. Hmm. That's why a lot of them be gambling. That's why Antonio Walker, they keep talking about how he sat at the table with Barkley and Jordan. That cats be playing suspect. I still remember a game back in the '80s. I saw Charles Barkley playing, and he looked like he looked. What's happening? How you doing? Good to see you, Time. He looked like he got bought and paid off. Probably is. Probably is. Probably because when he gets to 30,000 points, he's gonna be the most complex cat to crack 30. Watch, because then it's gonna be like, well, how do we defy him? Oh yeah, he did. I remember verbatim. He went into Michael Jackson the Victory Tour too. Talking about we own some in that. That's when I kind of went off of him though, because I'm like, y'all back into that owning thing. Y'all just because that's how y'all look at black folks. And then his pro Trump isms and all that. That's why I can't. I can only as long as he sticks to the grunt to the grind and the grunt. Stick to the Goodfellas stories. That's all I want. I don't really want to know about how because I know how y'all are. I know how you vote, and I know how you got this conservative mindset, which is crazy. Oh yeah, you can. When he went on about Michael Jackson, he said we own. He said something about own, and I'm like, say what? But he was talking about Sullivan. He used to own the Patriots. So I was like, I read it. Yeah, well, when he was at the White House 2 months, 3 months ago, he was Trump introduced him as black. He had to sit there and go, yes, sir, yeah, best friend. And he happens to be messing with Trump's son's ex-wife. Make it make sense. Keeping it all in the family. Mhm. That's what happened when you bought and paid, though. Of course he do. He's a he's a made for TV minister. What's he like? That he Joel Osteen? He's like Joe Ostino or something. Like I hear his. He got his own wine. He gets to travel too. So he wired. He been tapped. Mhm. Remember, I watch him in dosages. Remember, he used to be on Vlad all the time till he got his own show, and he had Ice T on there. He had some people. Yep. I be watching. I'm very familiar with all these because Tim Donahue. I read his book. I see all that stuff. All that stuff is all connected. I don't know why you'd ever be shocked. The only time I'm surprised is when they not. I expect 90% to be, and I haven't been disappointed yet. The only reason why I think I ever don't get, when someone, unless someone catches me off guard, I said, you got to signify yourself with me. I expect it to be 9 out of 10. Of course. Money, yo. Lifestyle. And remember something. You can be that way because you know why? Because black folks don't own nothing, can't tell you what to do, and don't have no bearing on what you do. That's the reality. That's why black folks aren't racist and can't be because they don't dictate nothing. So people go to who dictates and puts things into legislation when making money. They just see you as see you on the plantation. That's true. Because Joel Osteen be all Mr. Smooth and he be running game. TD Cakes, yeah, he conspicuously after Diddy. And we know how Eddie Long got down, and Marvin Sappy Sap. So he right before R. Kelly got locked up, he did that song with Kales. He said, "I don't know if I should, talking about it as I did." I said, "Well, if the song is what it is, cats be afraid to." Because some turkey will say, "Well, I listened to it in hip hop because y'all said it." But see, people know when someone says the hard ER what they're saying. They know what they're saying. It ain't no hip hop song. You just want to say it. That's all. No, it's not a surprise at all. Georgia. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I have people in Georgia. They do. They real. I had a relative there, and yeah, it was real. Georgia is because I mean, it's when you're used to places like that, you ain't shocked. But you kept having to hear that somehow Atlanta was a mecca for black folks, and it was a place to be. But you're not exempt from reality. Oh yeah, we know. Mm. Yep, old Hollywood Hogan, all flipped. That's all he's got left to go for, and it's gonna be like Kid Rock, get old and be protesting what I don't know. It cracked me up because when they hold this big seminars, they're like acting like someone's trying to take something from them. Oh, let's see. Willis Reed, Dave DeBuscher, Walt Clyde Frazier, Patrick Ewing, Bernard King. I say top 10. I can't say top 5, but if he goes and wins a chip, then that puts him in. If he goes in, it's so crazy when I think of because as long as New York Knicks basketball been around, and then you think that there's a strong possibility that he definitely. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. If he goes and win it all, oh yeah. In fact, he'll be right anointed with top four because you gotta, you know, yeah, yeah. He'll get the dinners that Eli Manning ain't in town to get if he wins. That's how big it is there. You buy yourself a lifetime pass. They love John Starks. Well, Brunson will be 3 times bigger. They got a chance though. He should be. Turkey had 3 chances at the rim. He didn't want to dunk. He kept trying to put back, but finger roll, and they got that stuff swatted down. I'm like, man, look, you win that game, that series might be different. But I'm still gonna be unlike yourself. I still think the Pacers played them better than the Knicks did. I just do. I watched both, and the Knicks to me didn't really. They kind of like got on a high. The Pacers grinded it out with them. Now it could also be because the Bulls were older, but I thought the Pacers had the right balance. I didn't think the Knicks were gonna beat them. For whatever reason, it wasn't meant to be a Pat Riley in New York. So yeah, he's banned. 75% saying no about Jokic. Okay, that's cool. I'm very much awake. Why don't you go to sleep? Coming on my site talking about some stuff. You ain't got no comments. Don't come on here trolling if you ain't got nothing to say. Jive Turkey's gonna come up here and try to say some stuff. I said, why don't you come and say something? That's it. You can't be vulgar. Idiots coming on here. Just an idiot. Ain't got nothing else better to do. I am waiting in between conversation, but you got nothing to say. You're not offering anything. I'm very much awake. I'm just putting myself in mode, waiting for the next recall. Because sometimes this thing takes time. Yeah, you gotta deal with some ignorance. I can't stand that about him. This is one of the reasons why I'll be glad when he's gone. He gotta feel like he gotta, oh, I'm friends with Bronson. I'm friends with SGA. I'm friends with Ant. Don't forget about. See, this is why he won't leave. He's like that relative that you can't get out the house. You tell him the party's over and the turkey's still trying to hang at 4 in the morning. Come on, let me get one more sip. It's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. Your butt got knocked out 3 weeks ago, and you still up here still trying to holler. It's like that dude that chick turns him down, and he's still trying to find a way. Well, maybe if you give me 1 cent, give me one number. You know, that's how long he been playing too. Well, I should tell you that you need to. Did you hear about uh uh uh, uh Trey Trey got what I'm talking about? He said OKC fans are louder than New York Knicks fans. He be tripping. I wish he played as half as hard against everybody else as he do against the Knicks because he sure don't do it on a consistent. Yeah, he's trolling, but you ain't Reggie Miller, so we don't have to worry about. You got to worry about Mister Playing Tournament. Yeah, you gonna try to say hang out them strip clubs, keep getting your coaches fired while y'all settle on being a playing tournament loser. He got that one Eastern Conference Finals appearance, and he didn't pull the Jeff Fisher Price. That's what he's got going for him. Because he's gonna be one of them dudes gonna sit around playing for 20 years. Because you remember back in 2021 when I led him, we won game one. I was Eastern Conference Finals runner up. I said, how are you gonna let that sing that song? So they like Trado. That's about it. It's a shame too, because they had some good teams, especially in the Trey Young era. Problem with them is you got too much of the sameness. You don't have, they don't really, they're not an organized team. What do he say? Because I haven't watched Nightcap since the whole thing with Shannon Sharp. What he say? affected at all. I really ain't paying Shannon Sharp no mind. Not because I'm gotten taken no, but the situation is just that it's not the same. And after his Lakers in five and all that mess, which went comical and went backwards, I ain't got much to say. Oh yeah, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I did see that, but I didn't forget it was him. He's right. He's right. And the problem that you got is lack of maturation. Well, you got vets, but they act like they 22, 23. You got LeBron who don't want to grow up. Durant don't want to grow up. They cry at the media. Draymond don't want to grow up. They still thinking that they can just, and they're not understanding that your time didn't come and go. That's why ants waving y'all goodbye. Your time is done. Y'all used to run the league, okay? Braun, you went to 10 finals. Steph, you went to six. Uh, you know, Kawhi went to what, four? Durant, you went to four. I mean, you didn't. You had your heyday, but it's a new generation. Yeah, he just still trying. Like I said before, that's the problem. Tell him he sucks and overrated. He needs to go sit himself down. And he get all mad and goes into a burner account and start talking trash. That's all he got. He get mad when people call him the bus driver, the bus rider. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. You ain't driving it. You riding it. You hitchhiking. You ain't got no money to let you on. Shoot. Ain't nobody worried about you no more. You got some old tired people that still think because he's inconsistent. He gets hurt. He is not as effective without an alpha with him. That's what's happened. As good as an offensive force as he is, and make no mistake about it, the guy can put the ball down on the ground, can score with the best of them. However, he's just not, it's a cool 27 points. I wonder what would it be like if he got mad and went like Kobe and just shot the ball just to be shooting it. And then he'd probably try to push 35 points. Because he always strikes me like he's just too cool. He just kind of glides. He's all Nat King Cole, like all smooth. Yeah, he's cool because he don't mess up his percentages. He doesn't really ugly it up. He's just Mr. Cool. And it feels like he turned the air conditioner on when he comes through. The man gets any shot he wants. I like, man, what if you went 1 year and you went ham? You just said, you know what? I'm a tofurkey this. I'm just gonna just shoot to shoot to shoot. Probably for on average like 33, 34. It's Wilt's record. It's not Kobe's record, but I know what you're doing there. I ain't gonna hold it against you. Man, that's tough because you know who I used to say? Who I said between Wilt Chamberlain and Kobe, who I thought had a chance. That's when he was younger though. Was Clay Thompson because Clay was the only one who could get off shots. He was ridiculous. That night when he put that 52, when he scored them a high 60, I can't quite see 80. He'd have to be really on streak. It'd probably be somebody like a Donovan Mitchell who could go crazy. He did score that 7, and so did Damian Lillard. Had to be somebody like that. I don't think Tatum could quite. I think like a high 60. I don't know about 70, but maybe. But it's got to be somebody that, yeah, he ain't gonna do it. He did that 10 years ago in Cleveland. He's putting up them fifties. I mean, he was putting up numbers, but he ain't gonna do that. No, because he's not the kind of guy that is gonna put you on his back and shoot like that. He ain't got that kind of consistency. Yeah, but he'd have to again. He'd have to have a night where he's going. If he did that, he'd probably fall asleep the next rest of the week. You know good well that that couldn't be sustained. You know he would. You saw what happened. Go get him about two, three cheeseburgers and drink Coke and bourbon and be knocked out. No, he ain't gonna do that. It's hard for me to say who could do it today because you saw what happened with Zion. He's got a better all around outside game than Zion, but you know the only difference between the two is he actually plays more and he's had more success. But Zion could be just as good as him if he stayed consistent. He really could. Zion is a waste because if that cat plays with that first step, you know he just doesn't stay consistent. Oh, he doing it anyway. Like I said before, good luck with trying to make him flip, train him. They got the intabable task. And he might have to carry weight to get what he does too. It might be just something that just works for him too. So I can't even say that it's just. It may just be something. No, he wouldn't. I watched him. He ain't gonna leave. I got 30 more minutes before I roll, so nothing to really think. Cause until he gets battle tested, they say he answers all the questions. I mean, he's a fresh kid. Well, what am I supposed to say? I have to see him playing with AD and Kyrie. I got to see what kind of sets Jason Kidd puts him in. I got to see how he'll be in the rookie. You'll get to see him in summer league. Can't really say. It didn't end well for him in Duke. I'll tell you that. And if you asking me on that, he got his feelings hurt against Houston. I think he's got to be prepared that cats will try to box him in. I don't waste my time watching turkeys like that. I really don't. Because you got a whole, what a word I want to use, you got a whole certification of that has been allowed to manifest. And it's always like, who can outbuck the other? And I don't really want to get that a lot of attention. I try not to. Until they get their wake up call. When they get their wake up call, then they be like, "Oh, can you help me?" You know how it goes. That's why I don't support it. First time you say something like that, you didn't tell me what you about. I'm not with it. And for the record, I'm not gonna do a video about every all them sellouts like all of it because I pick and choose the ones. They never do. They never do because they always got a way that they're going to. You see, when you do stuff for money and you pimp yourself up for money, no one will ever believe that you're about anything. They will always look at you like you're bought and paid for, when you're not to be trusted. So no, he snitched on him. He was wiretapped. He infiltrated. It happened back in the 80s. Well, they meant to look the other way. They just wanted somebody they could put a finger in. So if they needed to infiltrate particular section. That's what it was. Oh, he be bucking. Don't get it twisted. Why you think he walks around and plays both sides like he's always with Benjamin Crump or whoever's happening, or when Michael Jackson was talking about Sony or whoever? He got in over. He got in over. That's Franchese was talking about how they set him up. He was tabbed. He was tapped. That's how he avoids being asked about his taxes. Just like Jesse Jackson and Farrakhan too. He spends money at any place. The cat that runs Target went and asked him to go talk to them black people to get our people back some business at these stores. I'm sure you heard about that. They went go run to him. They think it's 1985 that Ralph Sharpton is the one that's the speaker. Go get him to go talk to folks and get us our business back. 'Cause I don't know what that means in context because you're just coming out of the blue. So who you're talking about? 78% still saying no for. Joker's got some loyalty on here. He got some loyalty. That's because of the old G Funk, the whole code for that back then. They always take Italians, and that's because that's like all in, that's character. And rappers were used to, that's what it was based on. That's the old, even the newer cast that come out using those old names. That's why they sold them as such because they were seen as the bad guys, the G Unit, and that's how they took on that personality. Which is to shuffle yourself into some problems, but somehow it's supposed to make you seem like a bad guy. Because those were the guys who used to run the streets. Those were the guys that hit you too hard. If your name was Dutch and you were Clutch, Mitch, when you were, that's what was done. Yeah, take you away from who you are. We tell you, don't call yourself Bumpy Johnson, but you call yourself Gambino, Luciano, and all that. Mm-hmm. Don't say nothing about Bumpy though, because black gangsters just don't sell quite the same. It don't hit the same. It's always been that way. That's how they. That's how they. And they did it with hip hop more than anything. They always pushed an agenda. It wouldn't change his status with people. The shoes been bought and paid for. The shoes have been bought and paid for. The corporate America, of course he did. He gambled. I mean, I could say some stuff that could just, and nobody would believe me. But and they might say that's hearsay speculation. They all gambled. They all shaved. Magic Johnson was on it. When you say MJ, you could be talking about Magic too. They all were in on it. David Stern, the commissioner, was a lawyer. Just like Adam Silver, a lawyer. Clive Davis, a lawyer. I know you wouldn't imagine it, could you? Because he's been sold so nicely. Do you really think that what he got for what he did for his recklessness, right? Ain't you ever wondered nobody came forward with no criminal, no negligence, no nothing, all swept underneath? Did you ever wonder that game against Detroit when Isaiah on that one leg, the Pistons got robbed out of a particular situation? Did you ever not see some suspectisms with that? And they own the West. Yes, I know it's hard. It's why it's theater. They sell it, they market it. And things are done in a way where when he got Paul Westphal fired, he caught a lot of brunt until Pat Riley came along, and Pat Riley looked like Wall Street, looked like Michael Douglas and Wall Street, all clean and dapper. Remember, he was the bad guy. Are you? I feel like Bill Walton. Are you old enough to remember? Yes, when LeBron James was the bad guy. Yes, and he was like, I do better at my job than you do at your job. Yes. Who did they lose to in that Super Bowl? Who was seen as the villain and who was the hero? Think about the team. Then fast forward to this past year. Who was seen as the villain getting all the calls? Why is it that Philadelphia is always the hero in these Super Bowls when they beat the bad New England Patriots and they beat the bad Kansas City Chiefs? How does this storyline work? Who's putting the money behind this storyline? I'll tell you something. You open your eyes, you start to see some things. You'll be in for a surprise. I only bring this up in the live streams, as you know. Never gonna say this in videos because 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes ain't gonna do it, and I wouldn't take it to no Patreon or nothing like that if I could. But I can say it here because hey, it's general consume, and I'm not gonna say anything that's gonna offset. But you just do open your eyes to what it is. Oh, well, first of all, the tapes got destroyed. Remember, Robert Kraft. The tapes were destroyed. Roger Goodell mysteriously, the tapes just they went down Jimmy Hoffa lane. We'll never get to see what was on those tapes. And remember, he's wearing their mega hats. Brady suspended for a flat football. Is it Belichick wouldn't know and Kraft wouldn't know and the balls on the sidelines? Who knows? Brady gets a PR marriage to a model who's been basically like Cassied. No one talks about it because Giselle is, yeah. See, these stories write their own selves. They write themselves. They are all connected. And you'd be very surprised when you look at it like, oh, mm-hmm. The only time I seen Ed Reed get down was at one time on that video where he was mad about something, but they don't really, they don't really. I told you before, if you're looking for these athletes to be some deep thinkers or some deep thoughts, this not the case. They don't really go down like that. Very few of them do you really see that are real, real. Very few. Because they've been bought up to understand that, hey, I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. You know, the image that you see and what they really are is different. Look at Mike Tyson. Tyson's a hood cat, but he get giddy for Trump. He get giddy for acceptance. Now, it's all part of his condition. So he's one of those kind of cats that you could say is in his condition, how he is. But I know what I see. I know what I see. And if you've crossed over as a black athlete, you're usually bought and paid for. 9.9 out of 10. They have you bopping your head like OJ. You be bopping. And you be talking because you don't really identify in the real world. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you got to remember, he was raised by them Italian cats. So they make you patriotic. You street, but you patriotic. How does that work? I don't know. You street, but you patriotic. Now Tyson is a student of boxing. They all do. They all do. Cause with the kind of money they spend on you, they expect nothing else. Yes, he did. I lived in Seattle. Yes, he did. Why you think they couldn't? Why you think they hated him on the team, yo? Sherman them couldn't stand him. Michael Bennett them couldn't stand him. They couldn't. Michael Bennett was sitting on the knee for Cap, yo. They weren't feeling him. Marshawn, if you watch Marshawn Lynch interviews, mm-mm, mm-mm. See, Russell, nerdy and a sellout. Oh, just because he's with Sierra now. And the first wife bounced him with Golden Tate. They got to give up a lot to get him. If he was going to the Knicks, he got to give up a lot. You probably have to trade Brunson or you have to get rid of quite a bit. Oh, you talking about Russell in Seattle? Oh man, that's gonna be a minute because they didn't part on the best of terms. They did not part on the best of terms. I don't know when. I don't know when because they did not part on the best of terms. No, it was real to friction. They him and Russell. I mean him and Pete Carroll fell out. But yeah, it was real friction, yo. Sherm from the hood. Sherm was a well, ain't from the hood. He Cali boy, but I think if I'm guessing, I want to say OKC should win it, but I wouldn't be surprised Minnesota got them. But I think they should though. They'll get their numbers retired, and it'll in time will heal wounds. The one I really want to see is Earl Thomas. That's the one I really want to see because Earl's situation was that was crazy. I've never seen that before in my life. He gave the salute when he got carted off. That was crazy. They couldn't stand Pete Carroll for sucking up to Russell. Oh yeah, they all got screwed because the what's his name? John Carson, the GM. Man, look, they treat him like project pets, okay? I lived there. I'm gonna tell you what I remember. They go all lower draft picks. They were seen as kind of like fat over in the game. They were like the game. But when they became Legion of Boom and they won, and they went to go ask that man for some money, then they got funny. Borderline, borderline. He get in after Cam Chancellor and Michael Bennett and Sherm. He needs some better PR because what happened with the girl who twisted him and tricked him, he needs better PR to get in. If he can get some good PR, he might. He need to go call David Ortiz or get in touch with Marshawn Lynch. He needs better PR. Well, cause I can tell you that should have been a dynasty, yo. They win that Super Bowl against New England. He beat Brady because at that time Russell was a precursor to Mahomes. Now he's not as gifted as Mahomes, but he was winning, yo. He had that deep ball. He was winning, and he had the crossover look and the whole vibe. That one loss stained the whole situation. They win that Super Bowl. They're talked about as one of the best teams ever. They win that Super Bowl. He's a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. He'd probably be in the top. I still don't know if I'd say top 10. I'd say probably about 12 to 15, which would still be ranked high as all time quarterback. Definitely maybe 11. He had the S curl. He had it. And he was in Seattle, which is a crossover haven. It's almost like how Purple Rain was portrayed in Minneapolis. Well, it's kind of like in Seattle. Your brother, and you get successful, you get over, you can look like you got something. It's generic, but it'll work. And he may have been considered almost as big as Griffey Jr., which he ain't. Because with the ring and all that, it's still Ken Griffey Jr.'s. Yep. But see, that's how that whole thing when that Green Bay game, ironically, y'all got in the way. Y'all should have. They should have beat. You should have beat them. Green Bay should have beat them, but that ended up shouldn't have won it. That they got a gift, and then to go in the Super Bowl and have that happen in the end zone was anticlimactic. And I was there. Them people act like they don't even remember that Super Bowl. Oh yeah, but no, Carson, who was the GM, you should be, because all Aaron Rodgers had to do was be mediocre that day. All he had to do, like, dude, don't muff that ball, just be mediocre. Because Russell played like he had a hangover. He threw bad picks, and they were horrible that game. But y'all didn't do. But y'all played just as bad too, and that's why I knew Meathead was a goner. That was my Meathead moment. I said, "Oh, Meathead." Yeah, well, that thing against Tampa Bay because Aaron Rodgers. You keep talking about Cam Newton didn't want to dive. Aaron was at the goal line, too scared to dive. That's what happened. So, because if Aaron gets either one of those, and remember, he did get a gift with Dez Bryant's catch, which was nullified. So if you go and win and beat Seattle, then you get a gift. Too dumb to finish it. Sure didn't. He was scared. He was scared. So, but anyway, that's why Marshawn left, came back, and if you were in Seattle, if you go to Seattle's YouTube, look up Marshawn Lynch commercials. He got way more. Look at his commercials and look at them corny commercials that Russell did. Russell was doing them airline. Those was corny. Those joints was corny. But Marshawn did like heating and conditioning and got love, yo. Beast Mode is still alive there. So for how they messed him around, he left with his rep. Russell is like a cat that is like he hit the lottery and he had the winning ticket, but it went into a pawn and he's still trying to get it back. He got the money, but he can't get that ticket to frame it because his gold is kind of janky. What racist he was. He was ran out racially. They two things in Buffalo. He didn't really fit because they didn't have no direction, so it ain't like what they end up with. And two, the cops was always messing with him, but he just didn't fit in Buffalo. He didn't fit, and it happens sometimes. It don't mean that you suck. It just sometimes you don't fit certain teams' style. It happens. I always say, you know how you cats always ask me, well, what do you think about this and that? I say it depends on what system you're in. I said because I can take somebody and look at Jared Goff. He did get to a Super Bowl with the Rams, and for the record, um, their coach is a good offensive minded coach. But Dan Campbell, he's striving. See, yeah, you don't even know what I don't even know what JP Liza's real. How you gonna have initials and you suck? You ain't OJ. Going by JP. Just pause. He was lousy. I mean, we had some real bunkers, man. We had some real horrible. We had some horrible backups when since we didn't had Josh. He was lousy. Trent Edwards was okay. He was okay for a minute, but the problem is the Bills. I'm gonna tell you something. We had a 20-year curse. Yeah, all these initials, and y'all ain't OJ. Y'all don't get no initials. EJ Manuel couldn't stay consistent. His passing was erratic. He tried, he just wasn't. He was mobile, but he wasn't consistent. But what happened with us, as I told the stories back in 99-00 when we lost that music miracle, when they mixed up with Rob Johnson and Flutie. That's what messed them up. I think you can do that, but what they need is the defense. You can have a good vet behind him, but if you don't have no good defense, it don't make no difference because he's not gonna get everything out of him that he's supposed to, and that's the problem. They got to get their defense on point. If they don't, they gonna be just like what they've been, bridesmaids. I don't know how much longer Josh can take that because you gotta remember you get old quick in that league. You sit around there thinking you gonna get another shot. Ask Joe Burrows about a Super Bowl trip. They gotta run the ball better. They don't take advantage of runs, and so they have to run. They have to run the ball better. They were lucky in that Baltimore game. They should have lost that game. And they got to do a better job with running. They got to emphasize the ground. They can't let everything come down to Josh. They tried to conserve him up last year. It didn't work because they didn't get to the Super Bowl. You got to get to the Super Bowl. How often you gonna keep doing this same old? You know, it is ticking. But I think it's because he's got the wrong head coach. I think he needs somebody that can, you know, get him. And I don't think that Harbaugh can't do it. So you see what I'm talking about? Cats get old quick in this league, y'all. So fool around, don't look at it. You've been there a minute. And let's be realistic. Shoot, Mahomes got like a 5 year gap on everybody. I'm telling you, you get the right system, you can do it. And you know Mahomes gonna probably win another one before it's all said and done too. So you're already behind him by 5 years. You get hurt or anything happens, you just further back. And that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Good, good. Put the right person in the right street. Mm-hmm. That's all it takes. It depends on how two things. If his mama don't be holding his hand and he just, you know, utilizes what they got. What do you mean by sellers today? I don't understand the content of the question. Strauss' problem is that they didn't really. They were just happy and giddy to be where they are. They are a mediocre team. His mama be pimping. Have you not seen the footage? He goes on dates. His mama be right there, getting out the car. You ain't seen it, huh? His mama be all chaperone. His mama be like, his mama be hanging on, y'all. They struggle because of bad play calling. They did not utilize Diggs at all. They settled for like scoring 20 points a game, and they didn't utilize their ground enough. And he got caught up because he was trying to do too much. They had winnable games, and they play in that old. First of all, they play old kitty division, so he gonna come up. Oh, it's worse than that. She be everywhere. They had some day he was on, and they had the Hummer pull up, and Mama they had the grand interest for her. I'm telling you, she's a mama pimp. I don't know about mama, but she's a mama pimp. She look good too, but she's not letting him out of sight. It's kind of cray cray, kind of scary too. So she be on that money, yo. She ain't let him out of sight. I didn't really talk on it. No, I ain't really talked on it. But it makes me think about how some of the mothers were in the industry. You got some strong old mothers. I remember that's how Usher's mother was, and somebody else's mother was like that. I like Jaden Daniels. He's real cool and calm. I think Washington gonna be fine. That's not a replacement. That's that's not no replacement. Kelsey is good for what he do, but that's personalities are too big. That's not no replacement. A lot of time you gotta be black, larger than life, and have personality, and they go find a white cat that's just Canada dry. I mean, it cracks me up. It's just so predictable. It's so predictable. I don't know what your comments about when you're saying what is the biggest sellers. What does that mean? What are you getting at when you say that? No, that's where I have to disagree with you, my brother. He do have to. Well, it's slavery, man. I mean, dry turkey, that goes back to slavery, so that's nothing new. It's always been the case. Auction, plantation, it's all tied together. That's what they're known for. Part of it. He doesn't have that look. See, Ted, he is bought and paid for. He was counting on that $100 million too. Massa had him happy. Massa had him giddy. He can't work for himself because he don't think like that. You gotta remember, this is somebody that had a machine put behind him. There's a battery in his back. I have to break this down to you that you think that this was machined. See, if you ever watch him articulate, he goes into his cadence and then he has his glasses on, he articulates and he says his stuff. That persona of Unk and all that other stuff was another battery put to the back. And they loved it when he shuffles and jives and ha ha. Well, it goes back. It's part of the legacy, the forbidden fruits. But as long as he does that demeanor, I'm telling you that that's what got him over. You know, when he gets on his show with Cat Williams, he says, you gonna say that? You gonna say that? You go. You see how he gets all animated? Ow, ow, ow. Come on now. Come on now. They want you to go to the circus. It's in everything. Dry turkey. That's in everything. anyway, yeah, the Shannon Sharp routine is just part of the course. That's all. All that stuff that you see is just adaptation. Everything is everything. What you think the selling of Serena Williams was? Well, he gets to say certain things, but remember, he's also been known for putting his things down. Gotta remember something. You get a personality on corporate, they expect you to, within reason, but it's all connected. I keep telling you, it's all connected. Bought and paid for. Okay, I got 4 more minutes, and I'm gonna call it a day. 4 more. Yeah, I mean, just like Michelle Beadle, you know. I mean, we already know. I already know. He's got a voice made. He's got a presence made for radio. And I told you, when I see him, I think of part of a character of Joe Pesci, and I also think a part of him is Danny Aiello and Do the Right Thing, because that's where the tone. But again, because they don't look like she should have made it. But I don't understand what your question is, dry turkey, because it's already been part of everything. It's incorporated with everything. She was down all right. She never cared for LeBron, and she didn't really like politicking with ESPN. I'm never surprised or shocked. I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. It ain't the first time she said that word either. And it won't be the last. But scary is that cats are so quick to try to apologize for her. I'm not gonna say he is, but I'm gonna say this: Wilborn did a lot of light switch to bring him to light. He said as much. There was old episodes I used to watch of the show, and he said as much. I'm disappointed when I hear him say that. Are you kidding me? You grew up in the '60s. You saw racism. You saw what Arthur Ashe went through at Wimbledon. Are you kidding me? You saw Muhammad Ali. You saw what OJ. However you want to cut it, you say breaking racial lines, but look at what he had to go through. Reggie Jackson. You saw that there were no black first and how they were. So when you sit up here and says that a man who's 10 years younger than you is a light bulb to you, and then you sit there and you say that, I gotta kind of wonder what were you doing with your life where you so dim that you didn't see the obvious. It's like the hair on your head. Well, what do you think about those cats? And that's why when I ever say that they have anybody on the show that's halfway intelligent, I give it. I don't watch though. I don't really support those cats though, because they do. They why you think they're on? Matt Barnes wants to be blacker than black. He tries to downplay the Italian in him. He wants to be blacker than black. And Steven Jackson tries to play like he's smoking cool cigarettes and all with that. That's what they do. And they found a lane to make that do because that's how they get plays and pull. If they were to sit there and be intellectualized, nobody would watch them. See, that's what you have to do with a lot of role play. think he be jiving all the time. Cause he, first of all, I can buy you with certain things you said, but that's when you start acting like you something that you no longer. You can't impress me by slanging and banging when you are a millionaire. You're making money. You're living clean. Your lifestyle is not the way that was. So you sitting up here trying to front. Cat, you pushing 50 and you still here fronting like you 25. This is what we talk about stunt growth. Cats up here acting. They stunting. I wouldn't call. How am I going to say about a guy who lost his livelihood? That's what I would tell anybody. I said, how many people were so-called protesters that lost their job because the president of the United States said, "Get him up out of here." Now you explain that away. He got bought and paid to go. They collided in collusion against him, and that's not hardly a guy that's like, okay, masses. Do I see Kaepernick getting an ESPN job like Cam Newton? Do I see Kaepernick with an opportunity to come back like multiple jobs on the network like RG3? It's in your face. I don't know why people don't. They looking for something because they didn't really think that he was about it or whatever. They go numb when you point out the obvious. Just like when I talk about Craig Hodges, I said he got white ball. Just like when I talk about my Raoub, he got white ball. I can go on. These cats got their livelihoods took and shook. How is that? How is that shuffling? Yes, he goes to the Met Gala, and you can run with whoever you want. Kaepernick is selling children's books with his girlfriend. He's doing his thing. But the bottom line is, he got ran out of a job that he was still better than 40, 50% of the backups at the worst case scenario. They ran him out. I know that somebody in 20, 30 years is going to come back and go, wow, that was racist. That was wrong. How dare they do that to that man? They did this in modern day time. I know. I heard about that. He was still finding himself. But at the same time, playing at a high level. And before people say his last season sucked and all that, I said, look, there's a lot of jokers that get backup jobs in NFL that have sucked a lot longer than his couple bad years. He had a Super Bowl runner up appearance. He won postseason games. Now look around you. Joe Flacco's one ring is what? How much better than Kaepernick for a career? Let's look around. So don't tell me that the guy didn't get railroaded. He got railroaded. Oh, of course they do, because they don't ever want you to speak on it. And when he said what went on, he meant it. See, people be having their issues in the wrong direction. Yeah, the only one that would too. And you can't tell me he shouldn't be wearing a blazer on Sundays hosting a show. Come on now. Cap's got a better resume than Tony Romo. Come on now. He got a better resume than Chris Sims. Come on now. You remember. I don't want to be making sense because I said we making sense. People gonna be like, "Boy, you make too much sense. Why you gotta say all that?" Because I seen cats that were lesser than get jobs on them networks. I seen cats who not the half of him still got jobs in the NFL. Of course, he can break down film. Shoot, because he played in the era now when you're the mobile quarterback. The guy ran all over y'all on the field. He ran all over. He could more very much so, very much so. Very much so. Can they break down film? If you're a quarterback, you're one of the smartest people, and especially if you've had any success in the league. Tell me again, how Tony Romo got a job over Colin Kaepernick as a commentator? Tell me. I gotta say the NFL because the NFL can make a can manipulate better than any other league. Make a dynasty, blow them up, make it look bad, make it look good. The NBA's problem is that they're trying to do too much like baseball with the international players, etc. And they don't have it together. Like they can't. They're still trying to push an old agenda with the new. They don't get together. Baseball is lacking how to promote a superstar. Now, Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge is must see TV, and you got some great stories. But unless you're a diehard baseball fan, you just don't care. It's just not the same. And they needed a villain in Bryce Harper, somebody to come along. They don't have the right villain, so that's a problem. NFL, bar none. They can sell you on Jacksonville playing Arizona on Amazon Prime and make it sound like it's a must see game. I'm just saying, no one touches what they do as far as that goes. They're flawed as all get out. They're as racist as all get out, but yet they still find a way to get prize a winner. They make you want to watch. That's why NFL is king. It makes you watch. NBA, we can watch highlights. We pretty much know what's the story. Everybody shoots threes, last second shots or blocks, something. You know, baseball, we looking for certain teams. We don't care about everybody. But the NFL, we never get enough of it. And for all its flaws and faults, we keep coming back. Okay, I think that's about it. I think it better pretty much been cooled off. Buffalo. I'm gonna get ready to go in a couple minutes because I've been on for almost 2 hours. So I'm gonna wrap it up in about a few minutes. But it's the Bills. But anyway, that's the problem that you run into. Um, NFL knows how to market. They sell you on draft day. They make a whole weekend of it. You can. You can. Could be for different reasons. I don't. I mean, if you grew up somewhere and you rooted for a team, but you like another team, I mean, you can. I don't have another team that I love as much as Buffalo. Once upon a time, I used to think a lot of the Raiders because I thought a lot of Marcus Allen. But, and I don't really. NFC, I used to like the 49ers. I like the Cowboys from way back. 49ers was someone I did like, but nothing touched my Bills, though. I just don't. Now, I have people that I root for when my team don't do good. I got teams and people I root for, but I only got one team. But I not gonna tell people they couldn't have because it could be different reasons. But for me, it's one. I don't root against the Bills, but if they look like they're gonna be crap, well, see, let me tell you something. My cousin Lawrence Taylor used to play for the Giants, but I never was really a Giants fan. I thought it was like they play ugly football. So, and the Jets were entertaining, but they've sucked. I mean, both them two have sucked the last decade. Giants stink. They stink right now, and the Jets stinker. Well, I won't root for neither one of them compared to the Bills right now. The Bills are the best team in New York State. They ain't even close. I don't think the Jets and the Giants combined can win half the games the Bills win in a season. Okay, let me see what we got. A couple minutes before I go. Uh, that's not gonna happen no time soon. Their last one was 2012, so that's not gonna happen. They're not making it this decade because what they stuck with at quarterback ain't gonna even get them a ticket to a Super Bowl, except not even their couch. They stink too bad this decade. They usually go. This is gonna be the first one or not because they're still after this year. There's what 3 or 4 years left. They need too many miracles to happen. Okay, I'm gonna pretty much call it. I ain't see nobody coming through now, so been on for like. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so we did almost 2 hours today. Appreciate everybody that came through. I don't think there's gonna be any more questions. Thanks for everybody that came through. Comments, hit the good poll question, and stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out one time.